prep. Good afternoon. So, this is probably the first time we've actually been live on our Facebook page, which is a bit rubbish, really, isn't it? How do you grow a group and grow a page and an audience if you never go live?
It's shocking. Absolutely
shocking. Aren't we rubbish? Right, okay. So, we thought we would go live and tell you a little bit about what we've been talking about in our Bloody Brilliant Business Club this week. So we launched a profit challenge and we've been talking through a different way of finding profit in your business every day. So I have actually recorded a post or blogged a post about this morning, but I wanted to talk through some of the things that we've been talking through this week. So one of the things that we looked at first was implementing a price rise across the board. That might help my microphone. So an across the board price rise. No one likes doing it. It's always the elephant in the room. Whenever we see a new client and ask them, when they've last raised their prices, there's a bit of a tumbleweed goes across. So it's one of those interesting things where people are often afraid to raise their prices because they don't think their customers are going to tolerate it, because they think that the market won't allow it or whatever. But we honestly believe that if your customers really value what you do, then they should be able to tolerate a price rise, and they would tolerate a price rise, a modest one. Don't go doubling it overnight unless you really have to. You need to work on that one a little bit if you wanted to double your income overnight. Having said that, there is a famous marketing phrase, isn't there, which is double your income and halve your customers overnight, and then yay, you're suddenly doing half the work for the same level of income, and then you can go and start taking on new clients that can afford you and are willing to pay your prices.
Speaking of you, we also covered the profitable you.
We
did.
So
investing in new skills to improve yourself, improve your skills, and all of a sudden you can add complementary skills which you can offer to your existing client base, or maybe you can actually seek out some new clients as well. But important one there is to make sure you invest in skills that will actually bring you profit. So not just any old thing. It's all good and fun to invest in kayaking. It's not going to make me any money, so there's no point doing it.
I suppose it depends if you turn it into a profitable online course or not.
Yeah, you never know. You might just see me run across the screen here. You never know.
You could do tortoise handling or something like that.
You never know.
Tortoise acrobatics.
Yeah, don't know how much money's involved in it, but
possibly not a lot. We were looking at a picture earlier on of Harry's tortoise, which climbs up the side of its cage.
Yeah,
which is a bit odd.
It's quite impressive actually.
Yeah, I didn't know tortoises
poked
could do
head
that.
right out the top. It's impressive.
It's really weird. I have to post a picture of it.
Yeah.
Gosh, that is a bit bizarre.
It is interesting, isn't it? So basically, you might want to invest in a coach or a mentor. Actually, you'll probably find if you're a procrastinator, you will probably want to invest in a coach or a mentor who's going to hold you accountable and basically give you the proverbial foot up the bum to get you doing the things you need to do.
Just to get stuff done. So, they say even Richard Branson has a business coach, someone who's going to hold his feet to the fire and get stuff done. So we are great believers in spending money if it's the right money, and if you're going to invest money in making more money. So don't borrow money or spend money for the sake of it, certainly, but certainly have a reason and a just cause to be spending that money, and then make sure you get a decent return on your investment. And coaches and mentors are often that. It's one of those things that when we're sort of bobbing along and the business isn't growing and you're wondering perhaps if you can really afford it, a business coach or a mentor might be the one that's just going to kick your bum and push you over that finish line and get stuff done that you really need to get done. And it's often not the case that we don't know what to do. Quite often we do know what to do. We all know how to grow our businesses, but we're so busy working in the business, not on the business, that we just don't get it done. And how many of us have got projects that we've been working on for a year or 2 years or 3 years, and we haven't delivered them?
I'm afraid I'm a doer.
You're a doer. Yeah, I'm a procrastinator, so I definitely need that sometimes. We also talked about plugging leaks through sales funnels, and one of the things to do that we try and get our clients to do is look at all the different sources of income and map them all out, put them on an A4 or an A3 piece of paper, put them on sticky notes on your window if you want to, whatever. It helps you get that identified and work out all of your different income sources. Then look at the process that you go through before as that cash comes into your business. So you look at the order, you look at the sale, you look how it converts to cash, and then see which parts of your step are at risk of going wrong. Could it be that you're potentially leaking profit at the sales order process? Is your order sitting not converted? Do you have recurring invoices that do recur but perhaps recur to draft and don't get issued to the client? Is there a step in the process where you need to have somebody review the price and change that before you issue your new invoice if you've got a quarterly or an annual renewing process? If you've got Infusionsoft or a CRM software which is outside of your accounting system and relies on credit cards and debit cards that might expire, how are you picking up those expiries and how are you picking up those renewals? What are you doing with cancellations? Can you renew those and regenerate those? So we looked at all of the different types of income and each of the steps in the profit process where you could be at risk.
And then finally we covered the dreaded scope creep profit monster, which is rather seasonal to have included in the Halloween season. But yeah, we all know these, we all have these. These are basically the client contracts we have where gradually you end up doing more and more and more for no more money. So it's one of those nasty circles. But actually we classify 3 different groups of scope creep clients. Dog just popping in. And basically these are the excitable ones. So the ones who are new, they're eager, they're new clients, you want to please them.
So Henry's come to say hello. You see his ears?
Yeah, just nightmare, stealing my limelight.
Sorry.
So these are the eager ones, the really excitable ones, the ones that you want to work with, you're new to working with, you want to impress them, you end up over delivering, but you end up actually doing a lot about outside of contract work.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing though at the beginning of the contract. It kind of sets the stall out, doesn't it?
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but of course it is scope creep. The next classification is basically the ones who expect you to do everything. And literally, like, they expect you to do far more than you're contracted to work. You might have terms and conditions which you perhaps haven't put in, like, cemented in place, and actually what you risk is getting exposure to these types of clients who keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and they expect more, and you end up almost feeling guilty for not actually delivering the work. The
challenge with the expected profit monster is those that they expect it and they want it now, but once you've allowed it to happen for a little while, it's a really difficult habit to get out of. So you have to try and put proper processes in place to identify where that scope creep kind of starts and stops. And we looked at that and looked at different alternatives on how to stop that and arrest that and put purchase orders in place, put order processes in place, change the narrative of the conversation. So instead of saying, yes, sure, I'll do that, change it to, yes, I'll give you a quote for that.
And then finally, you get the cheeky ones.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that maybe their mannerisms quite warming, and they just gradually ask you to do more and more. Oh, would you mind just doing that? How about just doing that? Would you be able to do that? Oh, it's only 15 minutes. It's fine. Can you just do that for me, please? And these are the ones
where I'm stuck. I've broken something. Can you fix it for me?
And their 15 minutes of work turns into an hour of your fixing. So that's often how it works. Yeah. But these are the ones where we're classifying them as cheeky because, to be honest, they're seeing what they can get away with. They're sort of pushing the boundaries a little bit.
Sometimes they are, and sometimes I think they're pushing the boundaries because it's easier. Sometimes it's because you've got such a good rapport with them. Sometimes it's quite simply because they know that you can do the job faster and they can't.
Yeah.
And again, the challenge there is that there's an element of what you want to do and you want to over deliver for the client. You want to keep them happy. You want to have that, give and take with them. But equally, you can't allow that scope to keep creeping, otherwise your profit just gets squashed and squashed and squashed, and it gets compromised and it gets difficult, and then you start to feel uncomfortable, and then you might start to resent them when they ring up and say, can you just? And all you need to do is just change the narrative, change the conversation. Sure, I can do that. This is how much it's going to cost. Or I can show you how to do it so you can do it for yourself next time. This is how much it will cost if I do it for you. And that's sometimes an easier sell, isn't it? Is I'll show you this time, you can do it next time.
Although sometimes it's easier to fix it than to show them.
It
but
is,
you
but
never
you don't
know.
You're self-sabotaging then, aren't
Yeah.
you? You're not helping yourself teach your customer how to behave
You shoot yourself
in that kind of environment. Yeah. So this is what we've been talking about in the Bloody Brilliant Business Group. So if any of that sounds fun to you and you want to join in our profit challenge for the rest of October, we're going to be issuing a challenge a day and talking through the difficult events, the things that happen in our businesses that cause us profit problems, that create profit leaks, that we need to start stopping and fixing. So come and join us in the Bloody Brilliant Business Club, and we'll see you there. Bye.
Bye for now.